Okay, that's excellent. So here we are again. This is podcast number two of Earth Medicine Soul Care. My name is Oakwalker, and
I'm Frank Stronghorse. And I guess today we decided to explore the reason that we titled this Earth Medicine for the Soul, specifically, I guess, what medicine is, how we view medicine, what it's meant to us in our life. So why don't you kick it off, Oakwalker, a little bit about what's your take on medicine? When did it first dawn on you that this is really medicine, this thing I'm playing with?
for me, I my whole journey has been a long awakening, if you will. And so the words that came mostly to my mind is that medicine is the encanto or the enchantment that's in everything. But that's just me. If we go back to my tradition, they're going to talk about medicine being a part of everything. Um, that there is medicine as the the force behind it encompasses both physical and spiritual healing. The medicine is that energy and spiritual protection that they have. It's a connection to the natural world, and it's balance and harmony. It's also part of your life path. So it is, and this I think is the big thing, is that medicine is what I bring to any situation. My medicine is uh my being there, you know? And the things that I use in my tradition, like the healing tools and the uh, artes and stuff that are on my mesa over there, um, they all have a medicine of their own as well. So there's my medicine as combining with the medicine of the elements and the tools that I use in my life, and it all comes together in a largely balanced and harmonious way. That's pretty much what I've got for starters on that.
Well, I agree with all of that. I think experientially, I have the same kind of journey, you're given an item and you say, well, this is a medicine item, if it's a pipe or a fan or this or
Yeah,
that, and then you got to figure out, well, okay, so what exactly does that mean? And it's you take it at face value that at some point
yeah,
you got to get it, like
yeah,
you had this epiphany, oh, that's it. So I think what I'd like to kind of focus on is a different aspect of medicine, and that's just really a teaching I got from one of my teachers that really impacted my life in a major way, and that is they said you have to look for medicine in everything.
yeah.
Everything carries medicine. And so
Mhm.
regardless of how you're seeing it at face value, there's medicine there, and that's sort of representative of the mystery of the creator. That
Yeah,
if you're not looking for medicine, you're not really acknowledging the mystery of the creator, as creation unfolds. And it was really interesting because I was thinking about this through the day, like, what am I going to talk about? And then I was cruising Facebook, and there's this I guess he's a Hindu t teacher, and his name's Rudy. He's actually
haven't seen
got
him.
he's kind of a bulbous looking guy, and he actually has, I think, an ashram up in Denton that
Hmm.
a friend of mine, Silver Ra, runs. But because I know he taught there for a number of years. But so anyway, he talked about this very thing, which I thought was really that therein is how medicine works.
Yeah,
We're talking about it, then oh, there it is, right on Facebook, boom, and so. So what he said was, he said that anytime you come or faced with a situation, you have to be patient because the energy that you're looking for in that, which we would call medicine, it may take a while to rise out of that because the elements are working together, and at some point they come together, and then that's when it releases the medicine of the situation, and so the key is being patient. And that was my big teaching, because I am not a patient person, man. You know, I, I'm not. I never ever got that. I, I'd argue with people till I was blue in the face, like, what is the point? You know, and it wasn't until I got like, okay, well, be patient and see what comes to you instead of being reactionary. My whole life was reactionary, I
Mine
think
too.
until I came to that realization. And then, so, a lot of times when I encounter things, it's almost like I have to kind of go into a neutral place,
Hmm.
to wait and see what am I trying what am I being taught here? I mean, why am I even paying attention? And usually the key for me is something catches my attention.
Uh-huh.
If it grabs my attention, there's something there for me. There's a lot of things. I mean, 10 things could go past me and not catch my attention, and they don't really, it's not an energy that has anything for me, but the one that catches my attention, then I got to stop and go, okay, ask myself, why is this thing catching my attention?
Hmm.
And it may be an immediate epiphany, or it may be something that happens days, weeks, months later.
Yeah.
So I think for me, for me, that's how I apply medicine in everyday situation, not just in ceremony or particular, works that we do on this particular kind of spiritual path. But so let me ask you, we call this earth medicine. So tell me, what do you think earth medicine is? How does that look?
Oh, well, okay. That's really even all the things I wanted to touch on what you were just talking about all come under that. Um, I like uh, I like the idea, and this is a thought that's been in my mind a lot lately, is either nothing is magic or everything is.
Right.
And so that leads me to know since I know some things are, then everything must be magic. So I really think that as far as earth medicine is concerned, if you want to get it down to that specific level, well, we're in it. And so I I really believe that the creator has put all of the messages that I need into nature. So much so that when I'm having a problem or I'm in a process, I don't have problems anymore. I have processes. And so I'm just working through some stuff and getting out into nature or even just noticing when a white heron goes by or an egret goes by. I'm like, okay, trigger. What is it that I need to pay extra attention to right now? Because nature's just made a made a visit into my awareness, if you will. And that's how one of the main ways that the earth medicine works through me and through my consciousness and awareness of where I am on the planet and how I am on the planet, which is even bigger. And then it's that interaction between the encanto of the spot that I'm sitting in, or the enchantment of the spot that I'm sitting in, and that the earth medicine that's coming up through all of that as if it comes straight up out of the ground in the form of plants, trees, animals, crickets, frogs, whatever my dog's chasing, anything.
Yeah, I think for me, I think the one word that describes earth medicine for me is balance.
Oh, I like that.
It's like I mean, particularly if something catches my attention and I'm like, okay, if I need something, a reference point to like, why is that catching my attention? Balance is usually a pretty good one,
Uh-huh, yeah.
because it's like, all right, well, I'm out of balance, or something around me's out of balance, or something's going on. But I think earth medicine in of itself is really about creating balance,
Yeah, I
because
couldn't
you know
agree more.
yeah, when the elementals come together,
Mhm.
in alchemy, and that's really what you're referring to when you say everything's magic. It's the elementals are working together,
Yeah,
and and it's when they come together in whatever shape, form, or fashion that is, it's an expression of balance, which is earth medicine in and of itself.
yeah, I agree.
And then so we're is what we're doing is if we follow a shamanic path, really what we're doing is we're trying to integrate ourselves into that to the degree that we walk in balance.
Hmm.
And so there's a big difference of being talking and walking, you
Oh,
know,
totally.
totally. And I think that also is the difference between imbalance and balance.
That's
It's
nice.
anybody can talk about it and be out of balance and then argue their point from their ego, till they're blue in the face, but to drop the pretenses and then really integrate yourself into a state of balance. That's I mean, it's a paradox because it's very difficult, yet it's very easy once you
Right.
get, once you get it, then you're like, oh my God, that's, where, what have I been waiting on,
Uh-huh.
but making that first step really, I think is really, really, really difficult for most people because you're talking about walking in balance in an imbalanced world,
Well, yeah.
and there's a lot of resistance to that.
Well, yeah, because people don't want to admit that they're not in balance. I mean, they don't, people just want to be right. They don't want to, they don't, they don't want to face the fact that they might not be right. And
Right.
in order to learn or grow or achieve a balance from an imbalanced state, one has to at least be willing to admit that the balance isn't there. That they may be or may not be out of balance. And that's what I mean when I say I'm in a process. I'm looking for the balance back because every process that I look at in the whole universe, from the planet spinning to the cycle of life and death, it's always coming back to balance. And that's why I think that's so astute of you to pull that in right when you did, because it really does come to the essence of things. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that place of neutrality that we were talking about earlier, I think yesterday over at your house, and we were
Hmm.
I mean, it's really I mean, there's only about, a half a million triggers to get you going every day in this world, and we're and to like say, okay, where's the balance? Where's the medicine? And
Yeah.
it takes a Herculean effort to kind of
Hmm.
be uh, in that neutral place. But to your point, that neutral place is there's no right or wrong.
Yeah. It's a
It's
non-attachment.
yeah. I mean, it's like it's the process. I think this is where everybody gets triggered or conflicted is, they're taught that they're supposed to make it work.
Yeah.
Or like you said, got to be right, and
Hmm.
so this is really a big one, I think, for men because it's like they're brought up like, boy, you got to do this and you got to do that, and you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that, and
Yeah.
you're in charge and all that, and so to step out of that and to say, well, let's just let the process work itself out and see what happens.
Hmm.
That's a tough move, man.
It is. Yeah, I'm not so
Really,
good at it.
really tough, because you know and people say, well, I think a lot of people say, well, what would be the point of that? Why would you
Hmm.
do that? I mean, and everybody's got to, when you wake up in the morning, you can't just sit on the side of your bed and go, okay, well, let's see, wait, see what happens. Um, I saw a great post on Facebook yesterday that this guy, he's leaning on a shovel, and the caption was God's in charge, but you can't lean on a shovel and pray for a hole.
There you go. That's
You know?
exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and
And
that's really kind of it. It's like, yeah, okay, well, you got to step out there and make stuff happen, but there's a graceful way of doing it, and there's a non-graceful way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I've been noticing that this is all in it's in that let go and let God from Christianity. It's in the Wu way of Taoism. It's in the non-attachment of my own shamanic studies that I like to go back through periodically and go, oh yeah, 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 yeah. And it always comes back together into this sense of I don't have to fret. I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to fix this because there's a lot of forces at hand here, and they are definitely and always struggling to get back into balance. That's the thing, is that the universe is set up to be in balance. It wants balance. And when we use our mental processes to get overwrought and to try to force push the water, push the river upstream,
Right.
then that's where the stress comes from. When in fact we can still be out there doing all the stuff that's necessary to do, earning a living, doing a job, and we can do that from a centered place of balance, like you say. And that would be the medicine that we're bringing to the workplace. That's the medicine that we're bringing to our family life. That's the medicine we're bringing to the community.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings I was taught by Swift here was catching minimal chance.
Mhm.
You know, and it's like you have to be, you can be in a neutral position, you can be in what you think is balance, but when spirit presents itself to you, you have a minimal amount of time to capture that opportunity and step into it.
Yeah,
And I think that really encapsulates walking your talk in balance.
yeah.
Otherwise, I think, I mean, you have to really, I mean, it's what we're talking about spirituality here, so that, let's make spirit real. It's a real thing. And
Mhm.
I'll share with you because I guess we're coming up to the close, but I'll share a funny story with you that where I got a teaching about you're out of balance. Okay.
Uh-huh,
And,
yeah, yeah.
and I was up in Oklahoma. Colleen, my wife, was doing an art show up there at the College of Fine Arts in Chickasaw. And apparently, Chickasaw has got a lot of homes for retarded people, and so there's actually a pretty large population of it. And so I was by myself. She was working on her show, and I was by myself. I think I was getting lunch or something, and I didn't know this about Chickasaw, but I was sitting there and and I was thinking to myself, God, there's a lot of retarded people around here. What is going on? And I kind of went into this internal thing about it, like, what are all these retarded people doing here? Well, when I finished, I walked outside and I stepped into the parking lot, and I mean, Spirit tapped me on the back, and I did a nosedive right into the parking lot concrete.
Was
My
that for
phone
using
was
the word
flying.
retarded?
Yeah. And it was like, boy, you better straighten up because that was uncalled for, And I knew what I'd done immediately, and I knew I deserved it totally, and and so I had to laugh at it. I wasn't laughing when I looked at my elbows all scraped up and, and pulling gravel out of my mouth,
Right, right.
but it was a good teaching. I mean, I deserved it,
Uh-huh.
and I think later I was told that the Gus Gray Mountain, the guy that was the head of the Twisted Heroes, is the one that gave me a tap, but he didn't quite mean to tap me that hard. He didn't realize I was going to face plant into the concrete, but
Well, he probably thinks you're some young spring chicken.
yeah, wrong. So but I think, that's therein lies. I mean, that's part of the journey. I mean, if you're gonna step into that, you gotta up your game.
Mhm.
The level of accountability and responsibility increases dramatically. You can't
Yes.
BS your way around it. I mean, if you're going to really be in balance, if you're going to try to step into that world, you've got to walk your talk with it. I mean, you can't half-ass do it, I don't think.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And so, which leads us into, we're going to get a shit ton of mail about using that word retarded. It's not a good word anymore. I'm not allowed to
Well, I
use it
followed
again.
it up with a face plant to the
Right.
concrete. Like maybe that'll smooth me. Oh well, as long as you did, I got a face
Yeah,
plant.
well, he got his just desserts then.
That's right. Because I was totally admitted that yeah, boy, that wasn't
Yeah,
a good idea to be doing that.
that didn't work at all. And so that's part. And so you're right. You hit the nail on the head there, with how you. It's so important that we increase in grace. I think. Did you just say that?
Do
That
what?
that we
Oh yes,
increase in
grace.
grace,
Yeah.
and and that's also part of balance, and it's also part of medicine. And that when we do that, we're no longer that chaotic element that's stirring up. We're not the rock in the middle of the stream anymore. We're not the whitewater creator. We're that, person who's helping the level of the water smooth out like a calm and peaceful lagoon. And that's, I think, not only is it a better way to go to the world for your own peace and salvation, but it is less of a karmic backlash because you've been going through the world in a way that spreads an easier path for everybody. So,
Yeah, that's probably since we're going to follow this up with sort of a continuation in our next
mhm.
podcast number three, and I guess we're kind of running close to the end here, aren't we?
Ooh, yeah, we got a couple minutes
Okay.
because we
Well,
were late.
maybe we'll focus on grace, and
Oh, that's a good idea.
kind of what is that? I mean, because both of us follow different paths. We're not totally isolated within the Native American path or the shamanic path. We're
Yeah.
also Christians, so I like addressing this from both of those viewpoints,
Mhm.
um, so that we're bringing that in, and that was my path of Twisted Hairs was basically based on we believe in all paths and all ways lead to the same place, and so we
Yeah.
honor and respect that, and we don't compare ourselves or judge other people. It's a matter of you either eventually walk in balance or you don't.
Mhm.
So,
So that's interesting because I've always considered myself kind of a bridge builder. Um, I think I said that last time too. But what I did this time was I recently looked up my universal name, which I'm not going to repeat on a podcast. But it turns out that it's a word in ancient language for shuttle, which is that piece of a loom that draws there's
right.
the woof and the warp is the one that goes across. And you make the patterns with that one. And the shuttle is what holds that thread and helps to make that weaving all happen. And that's interesting that Oakwalker, the bridge builder, also happens to be named after a shuttle.
That is, yeah, no, that's great,
Uh-huh.
because it's that's emblematic, I think, of walking your talk, because you're not only do you have to run that thread through there, but you have to be very precise in terms of tightening it and
Yeah.
which part goes where. And I mean, you watch those Navajo women do that, and you're just like, oh my God,
Uh-huh.
it really is an art. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane. It's such an art.
It's amazing. So that does bring us up to basically our closing minute or so. So, in the name of all that's graceful and beautiful, I thank everybody for joining us on this podcast number two. Hang with us, we'll get better at this. And thank you very much for being here. I'm Oakwalker, and
I'm Stronghorse, and again, I agree with Oakwalker. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We hope this brings you some insight through our talks.
Thank you. And off we go.